This just in, as of May 15th, Americans drowning in debt may finally catch a break, and no, this is not a joke. If you were told that you make too much to qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy before, that honestly may no longer be the case. So today I'm going to go through what exactly changed, why it matters, and how you could get out of debt 10 times faster than you may have expected. As always, this is not legal or financial advice, just purely information. So here's the deal. If you wanted to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but you didn't qualify, now might actually be the perfect time to take another look. Why? Well, because the income limits used to determine whether you qualify just went up, and for a lot of people, that changes everything. And the income threshold wasn't the only thing to increase. The government also increased exemption protections. This means there's a higher chance you may be able to keep your car, your home, and even personal items like jewelry, which is great, since so many people tend to be afraid of Chapter 7 because it's known as liquidation bankruptcy, but it's not as extreme as many people think. However, you will still need to complete the bankruptcy means test to be 100% certain that you qualify. Now, you may have never heard of the means test, and that's okay, I got you. This bankruptcy means test is basically the government's way of asking, are you broke enough to file Chapter 7? I know that sounds harsh, but blame the government, not me. But it basically looks at your average gross household income from the past 6 months and then compares it to your state's median income for your household size. That includes everyone in your house, by the way, so your spouse's income may count as well, even if they're not technically filing with you. So let's say you want to file in November, right? You'd average your income from May through October and then put that over an annual basis. If that number falls under the state's income limit, you may actually pass the means test. But what if you make over the income limit? There's actually a second part of the means test that looks at your expenses, but that part can be sometimes harder to actually pass. Also, just a quick note for those repeat filers, if you've actually filed Chapter 7 before, you may have to wait 8 years before you do it again. Sadly, there isn't any back-to-back bankruptcy binge sessions. This isn't Netflix. So the income limits and exemption protections increased. But why does that matter? Well, the government may adjust the income threshold used in the bankruptcy means test every so often to reflect the rising cost of living. And the update for 2025, that's actually the biggest increase we've seen in a long time, up by about 13.2% compared to the 11% increase we actually saw back in 2022. That is massive. So maybe your wages have gone up a bit in the last few years, or maybe they didn't, but things like gas, rent, groceries absolutely did. And this update recognizes that, so people won't be disqualified even if they're making a decent salary, but still are struggling to make ends meet. So just so you can get a clear idea of where things stand now, in Michigan, the income limit for a single earner may now be $63,994 compared to $62,161. While a two-person household is $78,404 when it actually used to be $76,158. But let's look at California, right? The income limit for a single earner was $76,190 compared to just last year when it was $74,007. And then if you look at a two-person household for California, it's $99,936 compared to $97,073. Now, if we look at all states, if you have an even larger household of more than 4 people, you can just add $11,100 to the annual income limit for each additional person. I'm actually going to include a link below if you want to check out the increase in your state specifically. So the main takeaway from all this? Well, with these income increases, more people now may qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy than before. It's like qualifying for free guac at Chipotle, except instead of guac, it's a totally fresh start from your debt, which arguably is better. I'll still take the free guac though. In even more breaking news, we've actually built a free Chapter 7 bankruptcy means test calculator that takes just a few minutes to complete. It's honestly super quick. You enter your state, income, and a few other details, and it gives you a clear idea of what you would pay, how long it would take, and the pros and cons. There is absolutely no credit impact, no personal information required unless you actually want to chat with us. I'm going to include a link in the description, or you can just scan the QR code on this screen. We can even connect you to a local bankruptcy attorney for a free phone consultation. That way you can get your question answered and get personal guidance without any pressure. So now that we've gone over what changed and why it matters, let's talk about how this could actually get you out of debt 10 times faster than expected, with a real example from one of our clients, and I'm gonna call him Steve.
Hi out there, it's me, Steve.
Steve actually reached out to us last fall with about $50,000 in debt, and honestly, he was dealing with a lot of financial challenges. The thing is, he wanted to actually file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but his income was just over the income limit. So the income limit was like, nah, you ain't qualifying. But if you flash forward to now, the income limit goes up. Steve's job and income are all still the same, but now he actually qualifies. Steve actually used the calculator I just talked about, and when he was weighing his options, he saw that Chapter 7 was not only the fastest, but it was the cheapest option too. Debt management, which is also called nonprofit credit counseling, was actually his backup plan, but that would have taken him 60 months, while Chapter 7 gets him to the finish line 10 times faster, meaning he could be debt-free in 3 to 6 months. Now, he'll have no more stress, no more creditor calls, and most importantly, no more debt. So what does this mean actually for you, right? Well, the faster you get out of debt, the faster you can rebuild. Save for retirement, have an emergency fund, go on vacations, or not feel guilt every time you get a little treat from Starbucks. And given the state of everything right now, you deserve a little treat, right? So look, bankruptcy isn't a decision anyone makes lightly. It's not exactly what dreams are made of, or is it? Well, that's for you to decide, but for someone like Steve, it was the most ideal choice. And if you were denied before, the numbers actually may work for you now, and you may actually qualify. Timing is everything, and May 15th changed the game for the better. But what about if you're still on the fence about filing because of all the negative things you've heard about bankruptcy? Well, check out this video where I break down the 3 biggest lies about bankruptcy, including the one that scares most people away before they even get started. You honestly might be surprised by what's actually true.